And we're live, right? So welcome back, everyone. So we have Julie Smithson, and she is a good friend and also a good mentor, right? And I'm super excited to have her join the XR Innovation Week as a speaker, and also she has been supporting by also sharing our updates across all the social media platforms. So thank you so much, Julie, for the support.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Julie, for joining. Honestly, it's an honor to have you here.
And then we'll get
It's okay, Arome, I'll take over. Julie Smithson's personal mission is to inspire and educate people to think and act in a socially, economically, and environmentally responsible way. It is through this lens, as a co-founder at MetaVRse, one of the world's leading virtual, augmented, and mixed reality consulting and product development companies. She is the host of the leading podcast on XR for Learning. Julie also leads the XR Collaboration, a coalition supporting human connectivity through digital presence in platforms, building communication and collaboration. Julie also chairs the group XR Women, advocating and empowering women to have a presence in the XR ecosystem. The session topic will be unlocking the power of spatial computing with MetaVRse. Session title, introducing the MetaVRse 3D web game engine and creator tool to design interactive experiences for business and education. In this session, you will learn the multiple use cases you can design and publish directly to the web for client or student engagement. This session will demonstrate the 3D applications for medical, retail, education, training, and the live data analytics you're able to collect from these interactive experiences. Thank you so much, Julie. Over to you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks everybody for having me here. This is really exciting for me. I think you did a little bit of introduction, but certainly proud to be here at XR Innovation Week. So I'll skip over this slide and kind of tell you a little bit about where my story began, just to let you know when interactivity entered my life. And back in 2010, my partner and husband, Alan Smithson, and myself, we created touchscreen technology for the music industry. So we created this big see-through touchscreen DJ controller, and we went on to build both the hardware and the software. And that was kind of my pathway into VR, because building this unit, we were invited to a bunch of conferences and things that were very futuristic. And as soon as we had the opportunity to try virtual reality, we were like, this is where the medium is going. So that was kind of my path into interactivity, is being able to build something for the music industry that could be touchscreen controlled. And that actually, and this kind of led into a little bit of entrepreneurship for our family. This is my daughter. When she was 9, she started her first company that left heart-shaped sandal tan lines on the top of your foot after she designed the Love Sandal. And it was through building this in our family and her having her business that we knew how much education needed to change. So with our passion, and we already, this was already highlighted, you know, our mission became to inspire the next generation to think and act in an economically, socially, environmentally sustainable way, and use immersive technologies to do so. So that kind of led us on the path to some of the companies and projects that we began to take on. I'll talk about MetaVRse in a minute, but we started that back in MetaVRse engine, sorry. But we started MetaVRse back in 2016, and we started to build everything from a 360 photo booth to AR to VR, and really just trying to understand the ecosystem. And then we came to building out our 3D game engine, which I'll talk about in just a moment. XR Ignite was also formed to help the community of startups and enterprise learn to start to collaborate together. And through XR Ignite, we actually built out XR Collaboration, which I'm going to show you a couple of of resources. And, my mission today is so that you all leave with both of the knowledge of MetaVRse, but as much knowledge as you can based on XR. And if there's anything that I can help you learn today, I'll provide you with some tools. So get ready with your screenshots, and I'll show you some QR codes too, if you're able to connect that way. We also have the XR for Business podcast and XR for Learning podcast. And this became kind of our tools, the tools and resources that MetaVRse as a family started to begin to create. So just touching on XR collaboration, if you're just learning about XR, there's some great tools that we've produced. There's a resource guide, over 100 pages of understanding how to collaborate online using immersive technologies. And with that, there's also, so the resource guide is there, and we have a brand new layout. So if you're looking, collaborating for the first time, or terms that you need to know, or we've got an XR glossary that's there that, all these new terms are coming out into our ecosystem that, some of us never heard before. And, words are being made up almost daily these days. So we're trying to keep track of those ones to help everybody out. There's even some information there on humanics and about presence and storytelling and understanding how you need to become present while you're in these virtual spaces, whether it's virtual, augmented, or just 3D interaction. And to give you a scope of, how big this community is getting, we have now over 200 XR collaboration platforms in the ecosystem that support online collaboration, working, and learning. And we actually have a directory of some of them that you can take a look at. There's also, and it breaks down, there's a search directory, so that helps you and brings you to the actual platforms. There's also an XR hardware hub, which we're trying to do our best to update and keep everybody informed on all the different hardware devices that are in the ecosystem. And now I'm going to pivot back to our MetaVRse engine to give you a little bit more information on how MetaVRse is impacting the ecosystem. And I guess, first of all, talking about immersive technologies, we started off with 2D view, the TV, there's signage, there's posters, there's books. We've been learning like that for a long time and teaching like that. But now there's 360 degrees that is being added to our world, which we've always lived in a 3D immersive world before, but we've never really taught it, or we've never used it to teach with it. So, there's virtual reality, augmented reality, and mixed reality. And if you don't know what they are, there's the glossaries out there. But I guess the big question is, what is that design process like for immersive technologies? Because 3D and spatial computing, it stimulates the real thing. It builds that connection and collaboration. You can use gamification and rewards with 3D, and it makes learning fun, and it sparks curiosity. So 3D is actually available on over 7 billion devices in the world. So we decided we would build our engine that would accommodate the majority of the devices that are out there. And that's where our product started from. And we're starting to make our product more immersive. And we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. So spatial design, again, it gives you depth and dimension, multiple perspectives. And then you've got the creative design, but you need the spatial understanding to be able to do that. So our MetaVRse mission is to unlock the power of XR for everyone. And what we've done is we've built a platform that works everywhere. It works on all mobile devices, web AR, all browsers, and it really is accessible from almost every single device that's out there. So when you go to our website, this will give you some of the demos. You can take a quick snapshot of this QR code, and you can go and try some of these demos out. I'm going to show you one in a couple of minutes as well that we can kind of go through really quickly and see how we can impact Africa with using this tool. So from a top level down, let's talk about the interactive use cases. So 3D can be used for remote assistance and training and guidance, visualizations, and definitely having that contextual data available to be able to see. Immersive use cases for 3D and immersion are obviously, this is built out of Jeremy Bailenson DICE, that immersive use cases can be run off of anything that's dangerous, like visiting an unsafe area, or you want to observe an animal or something like that. Immersive technology allows you to be present in these locations where things may be impossible. If you wanted to go back in the past or way in the future. Counterproductive, that's a huge one, especially when dealing with agriculture or environmental impact of seeing what things would be like if something happened. And you don't want to obviously, flood an area to see what it would be like. You don't want to do that, but to see what the effects would be like, this is where immersive technology can tell that story. And then, of course, expensive and rare, whether you're visiting an animal or you want to travel, you can't travel somewhere. This is where the technology really provides you with that interaction. So I came up with another slide just after this one, because I thought, if I'm listening from Africa, what are those points where are we going to see immersive technology become introduced into this continent? And from top down, I just came up with a few ideas, because some of the conversations I'm in right now in behind the scenes are starting to draw on these, farmer trading, visiting farmers' crops and the volumes of pricing and things like that. And, consumer behavior, being able to see, what people are looking for and what they're selecting or choosing. And then, planting sustainability, where you can measure the growth through climate measurements and things like that, to be able to build out better planting and farming applications and growth. And then, of course, there's always education and training, because with all of this technology, dependency upon other people knowing it just doesn't cut it anymore. So we need to look at how are we going to educate and train communities and that next generation, and even the generations today of, right up to the farmers that may be farming from early on, and, they need to know this technology, because a lot of the processes and systems are starting to use the technology. So we need to look at how are we going to educate those generations, from young to old, of how to use this technology and then interact with it, especially if we start to have enterprise and governments start to implement these into the systems and processes. There's a lot to learn and there's a lot to know. So again, this is another experience that we built out for education. It's an experience of the solar system, and it's one where you can actually interact and learn about the different size shapes of the planets and the comparisons with each other. What's at the core of the Earth? How fast does one planet spin compared to the other? This education application was built out in our MetaVRse engine, and then it was deployed to a group of students. You could use augmented reality to feature animal extinction, or any effects of the behaviors of the animals, or if there is one going extinct, you can do profiles, understanding the environmental awareness of where things are going. This is where 3D interactions become really important, of being able to understand the past, the present, and the future, and obviously transforming tourism and history. So swinging back into the MetaVRse engine, there's multiple different applications. I'll go through a whole bunch of them right now. Everything from virtual showrooms or galleries, just learning interaction experiences, product marketing and sales, training for both the product and for the employees, and of course, real-time analytics. So, with product and marketing, this is one of the experiences that we did. This is called an exploded view, when everything pops open from a product. And this is where you could start to increase your conversion rates. If customers can understand more about the product and how it's built, being able to showcase your product this way is really intriguing. And it's an interactive piece that you can give potential consumers the ability to play with that object before they buy. Product marketing and higher return on sales, just being able to increase your sales based on customization of having that object and being able to design your own, that translates into sales as well. Product instruction manuals. We did this one for this drill company and did some hotspots, the A, B, C, D there and E, hotspots on the information about that product and how things worked. And, being able to have that available with the purchase of the item or before somebody purchases the item obviously builds that knowledge and builds that connection of the user or that consumer wanting to buy that product. And having these tools available, you can use it for, product training, but, maybe it's maintenance or, a maintenance manual for this drill if it happened to break down. And you can obviously put a different perspective into whatever object you wanted to, but just to give you a little bit of samples there. Product engagement. So this is one of the experiences you can also try. It's a Nike shoe where you can design, your own shoes and pick out the colors that you want for the toe strips and the light laces and that sort of thing. And being able to understand what your consumer is selecting and the choices that they're making is something that's really interesting to brands to be able to, say, okay, well, everybody loves their red toe strips red, so, first of all, we better order more of that red leather, but maybe we won't make more of the orange toe strips because nobody's actually asking for that. And this is where the analytics and that data analytics in the back end can be implemented. And you can actually learn live about your consumers' choices and what kind of, what their behaviors are when it comes to inspecting your products. Medical. This is a really interesting project that we worked on last year. It's an ultrasound machine, and this was built out in our engine as well. Interestingly enough, we actually took that exploded view of the ultrasound machine, and then there's hotspots so that you can learn about all the different buttons, and we added videos and things like that. So the interaction is there where you can actually click a button and see what happens. But this was also connected to a data management based system that if something happened to this unit and say a spark plug went or a cable, broke or maybe the light bulb went out, it was actually connected to their inventory system that could be ordered. That part could be ordered directly from our app as well. So that was one avenue. And then the education-based knowledge of this ultrasound machine being available to train people who were going to be using the technicians, they could also be tested with their knowledge through, test quiz questions that you can actually connect again to a database so you can understand, where all the questions were being right or wrong or whatever it was. Employee training, having a knowledge of a career role. This is actually an interaction of a ship's bridge, which, not everybody can jump onto a ship and take a look at a bridge, but being able to scope out what would it be like to work on a ship's bridge and where are all the controls, having that ability to look at, at this space and that career in itself and understanding it's a great advantage for not only the company itself to be able to offer that for training for their employees, but also from an outsider's perspective, if they were interested in becoming, being part of the shipping industry, what is it like on a ship's bridge, and being able to showcase that without having to take a tour live obviously saves a lot of money, and the opportunity is there to be able to do that immediately. Product design and customization, again, this is where the consumer has the ability to see something in their own perspective before they purchase. And, whether you like the blue flowers or the purple flowers, that can be viewed by the consumer and then accepted by the consumer. And then, oh, wow, look what I designed. I really like that. I want to buy that. And that's where your conversion starts to happen. Being able to have configurators, they're called, inside of the design where the consumer can choose the color or the parts that they want or the product that they're looking for. So the real-time analytics that we have built in the back end is really pulling on that data that explores the Z dimension or Z dimension, I guess, Z or Z. And, we've always lived in this XY axis world, and now we're actually going to start to explore the depth and dimensions, and this is where the Z axis comes in. And being able to read again, how many visits to your site, how long did they stay on that interaction before moving on to the next one? Did they pick that color red over blue or over purple? So the analytics, you can start to track, all the different things, but it really depends on what you're looking for. But this is something that can be connected to our creator tool. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit of something that we've been working on. And again, I'm going to flip out into my other screen in a second so we can experience this live. So when I was asked to be on XR Innovation Week, we had just recently released this virtual showroom. And if you scan that QR code and you want to go into it, and maybe we can drop in the link as well, or you can look at it afterwards. This virtual showroom is something that we launched for the retail industry. And it's interactive. There's 7 points in there: the shoe, the coat, you'll see the watch is there. And it basically works everywhere: mobile, desktop, and tablet. When you go to each of those objects, you can change the color of the coat, as you can see. The camera rotates and animates. The shoe can change color. And then all the panels on the walls where you see, the Nike symbol there in the yellow, they can be changed out. So there's 22 panels in this room. And when I was asked to be on this, I thought, well, why can't this be for farmers trading? Why can't we use this to be the virtual farmer's field? So I took the walls down of that retail space that you just saw, and I replaced this with a farmer's field. And, keeping in mind that there's the camera and the guitar and the coats there and that sort of thing, and the shoe. But what if you replace those items with cows that a farmer would, be selling, or maybe it's, corn or, wheat or rice, whatever your farmer is growing in their fields. And this could actually be connected then to, the volumes of their crops and how much they have to trade. It can then actually be connected to blockchain systems. And, there's a lot of potential there to use that virtual showroom as a virtual farmer's field. And it could be used for anything. It could be an education training classroom. It could be a medical training room. And, we built out this virtual showroom as a template to be used for multiple things. And this was one of the things that I thought might resonate with the people who are listening today. You could certainly use it for retail, but I thought, maybe, focusing on agriculture and, some other challenges that might be in the ecosystem, being able to use this showroom as something else and being able to connect up with, payment portal systems. Maybe, a farmer could trade, a certain amount of his crops for, that, a trader would come in and purchase, and that all be tracked as well and be, counteracted with blockchain systems. It's certainly just at idea phase right now, but the potential of this technology to be used for so many different purposes really does provide that interactivity. So, coming back to the education piece, I wanted to just briefly announce, because I think this is something that Unity College, not to be confused with Unity Technologies, but Unity College and MetaVRse have just created a partnership where we're going to be building out non-degree micro courses, and we're going to be launching that user-based knowledge of spatial design free for everybody. And it's really that gateway step to be able to understand this technology and the applications for it, not just in the metaverse world, but in all the worlds, and in understanding everything around you when you're in these spaces, and also the assets that you're dealing with, that they also have a spatial presence in the way that we interact. So really excited to be launching this, because I think that there's a lot of opportunity for schools around the world to also be teaching this. Going back a couple of years ago, I always said we needed to start thinking in voxels and teaching in voxels instead of pixels. And I'm very passionate about 3D learning, because we've never really taught it before, even though we live it every day. So, I'm excited to be able to contribute towards democratizing education, even at the smallest little bit of offering that knowledge of spatial design to every age group, to every industry, because we all need to understand how this technology works. And MetaVRse, I'm proud to say, is create our MetaVRse engine allows the usability of you to be able to design and create without code. Our creator tool is very easy to use, and if I had more time, I would do a full session on that. But we've got lots of tutorials and things that are coming out with that, and hopefully you can sign up for a license and play around with it yourself. There's already assets of primitives that you can add and start to figure out how to design, and then publish your experiences right to the web without having to use an app. So there's no commissions, no permissions, is what we say, a little bit there. And if anybody's interested, you can have a free MetaVRse 3D creator tool account if you go to engine.metaverse.com and start trying to design and create something that's 3D spatial for the industry that you're in, and think about the ultimate possibilities that are possible with this tool, and hopefully that it'll help you design what you need to. So once again, remember Sir Ken Robinson, he always stated that your most powerful skill is the unique ability to be creative. And when it comes to designing spatially and creating spatial interactions, the creativity behind it, there's no limits, and everybody's a creator. So we really, really are excited to offer the MetaVRse engine for everyone. So at this point, just love to learn. There's so much to learn. These are some of the resources out there that we browse through on a weekly basis, daily basis. And if anybody needs any other resources, please give me a shout, connect with me, and I'll be happy to provide them to you. So I guess with that, I'll stop sharing my screen and see if there's any questions from the audience, and any questions from our hosts to see if there's if I missed anything, or want me to go back and show any of the experiences again. So thank you so much. And I think I'm still on the show, but that's okay. Oh, here they come. I was about to hold it on my own there for a minute.
Just kidding. You weren't there the whole time. Just teasing you.
All good. So I hope everything I covered enough. And if I didn't, please let me know what questions you have.
So what I think we'll do is we need to schedule another session, maybe a different session, to have a full understanding of how to set up and also use the MetaVRse platform. But I also like how you are passionate about seeing how we can implement this especially for agriculture and also for maybe remote, should I say remote investment for people that want to get started with that. And so Jennifer, if you have any question, Emilios?
Sure. I'll jump in. Julie, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
You too,
I wanted to talk to you specifically around a really important point that you made around the measurements or metrics that you've embedded into the platform that allow you to kind of see what decisions and choices people are making. We've heard a lot of people talking about that to us throughout our sessions today. Can you elaborate a little more with regards to, what kind of data you can capture and how you can use that data for change in a substantial way?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you two perspectives. The first one, we built out the analytics for a mobile company, phone company, a pretty big one, begins with the name S. And basically what they did is they built out a training platform for their employees. And within that platform, there were questions of their knowledge, of the employees' knowledge, because it was introducing a new device. So within that, we actually had, we had so many different quiz questions, and the analytics that we tracked for them were, how many questions did they get right? Which feature did they stay on the most? How long what was their duration time? And, from a retailer's perspective of understanding their employees, when they got some of the results, they realized, why is nobody getting this question right? And everybody was getting it wrong. And they went back to the experience and realized, okay, first of all, we're not giving enough information about that, but maybe we aren't asking the question right. And they fixed it. And then we made some changes to it. And then they could see the change that took place of that gained knowledge. That's just one example, of how, employee training is taking place. And, it's a little bit of a scary conversation of all this data that's being tracked, of us, of humans. And we are heading down that path of AI, and it is a little bit nerve-wracking. In my case, in this particular case, they were trying to improve the experience for the user and also make sure that the communication was, correct in what they were giving out, because they were trying to train their employees. And if they can't train their employees, how are they supposed to educate the market on their product? So they had to kind of clear this barrier before they got to the next. But it was very interesting being in those conversations behind the scenes of, well, what are we doing wrong? And I was like, I don't know. What are we doing wrong? What are we not saying right, that everybody's getting this question wrong? So it really comes back to, being able to understand the audience and also be able to communicate the correct way with the right information so that it flows through and they understand and they can answer that question right. In the purpose of, let me take farmers trading, for example. We could, taking that same thing and having those data analytics of, why is one person on, this type of cow or this type of corn or this, this region specifically, what is going on here? And you can start to learn about your users and their interactivity to make better decisions. In some maybe more controlled decisions, but being able to track those movements and being able to guide purchasing decisions or just plain and simple decisions about a product or a situation. This is where data analytics can help this. Climate is a huge one, being able to attach data analytics behind climate data, of the way the wind is blowing, of where the sun is shining. All of those things could be traced back. If I was looking to buy a certain amount of crops or seeds of some sort, maybe my farm doesn't have the right sunlight or the right environment, the soil. All of those things can be now connected through data points where, it comes up to a recipe, right? And if that recipe doesn't make sense, why would I buy that? Because, I can look at the analytics and say, okay, it doesn't look like that crop is going to make, make sense in this region, et cetera, et cetera. So it really comes back, depending on the industry, depending on the vertical or situation, it's about learning and making the proper decisions that are more sustainable as well. That why would you plant all of this here if the data is actually saying that this isn't the right soil to grow this here? And this is where we can make these decisions now, because we do know that data, and you can add a weather API into anything now and know exactly when the wind's blowing. This is a game changer, especially when it comes to growing, farmers' fields or, food just in general. We can now make those best decisions because we know.
Sure. And I think, that there's a lot of beauty that comes in measurement. So I appreciate I appreciate your perspective there. I know I'm personally really passionate about the ways in which we can take the actions that people perform in these virtual environments and actually translate those to portable skill profiles that they can use to actually demonstrate the beautiful diversity that exists across people and the ways in which we can actually accelerate their development as part of that. So I really appreciate you sharing that. There's so many aspects where I think that's important. I'm particularly interested in multidimensional poverty and what we can do with regards to that around actually providing opportunity. So thank you so much for sharing that. I love your focus around sustainability and the positive sides to measurement and what we can do for people as a result. Thanks, Julie.
Absolutely.
Emilios, any final thoughts?
Yes. Julie, I wanted to make the audience aware of XR women. So, it's important that, it's really, really important. I think this initiative is absolutely fantastic, and it's a perfect opportunity just for us to discuss this in a little bit more detail. For the audience, XR Women it's a global collective of XR women devoted to connecting, educating, empowering, and uplifting women and allies in the XR space, creating a space for all in the MetaVRse. Julie is the chairperson of the board of XR Women. Look, we would just like to understand a little bit about what you do, how women on the African continent can become members, can take part in the events, become ambassadors, and grow this initiative to hopefully a place where there are people in every single country across the African continent.
Absolutely. So XR Women was just formed, literally less than 6 months ago. I was fortunate to come together with some other fantastic women I'm working with, and Jennifer knows as well. And we wanted to create a place that was, that we could advocate for women, that we kept an eye out for gender balance, diversity, and inclusion. First of all, I'd like to just say that anybody who is a woman, first of all, is welcome. Allies are also welcome. So Emilios and Arome, you are both very welcome. We welcome allies. We are looking for that balance of diversity through business, education, through everything. And, first of all, we meet every Wednesday. So we call it XR Women Wednesdays from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Eastern time zone. So we can drop this in later, but we actually meet as avatars in this world, the iLearn world, which is a digital twin of Verbella. So we attend as avatars. We've had some great programs over the last couple of weeks, everything from focusing on the medical industry. We've done self-empowerment, understanding your superpowers. We have self-care Wednesdays every Wednesday. The first Wednesday of every month is a self-care Wednesday. And we talk about just things that, if anybody's having trouble with anything, or we try and do some mindfulness training or anything that kind of makes us feel a little bit better as humans. And I think, last time we had a self-care Wednesday, we we had some men in there too. And I think it was like it's the first week of the month, it's a hard week, and, everybody deals with month end and beginning of month. And I think it's a good time to just take that, whether you're just sitting there breathing or you just want to be around people. These XR women, they come from all over. We have, Jennifer, you're down in Texas. I'm in Canada. I'm in Toronto, Canada. But we have people from the UK, from Bulgaria, from Germany, all over. And, again, we're working to, just solidify our presence. We're not looking for special anything. We're just looking for balance. We want a voice at the business table with, we want to be able to be on panels with men and talk, because we're just as smart as the men are. And so it's, it's about balance of gender and inclusivity. Pay equity is a big challenge for us as women right across the entire world. That's a huge mountain for us to climb. But for now, we're just, we'll keep on collaborating together as a community. And this is why we want to invite allies to support us, because we can't do this on our own. We're not looking for, we want to just play in the same sandbox as everybody else. And so that's what our initiatives are right now. And I'm glad to say it's working. I've actually put 2 women on panels this week from around the world, where they came to XR Women to say, hey, we need somebody who knows this. And I was able to say, hey, this person's looking for an opportunity to speak. And so it's working. It's really working. We have a database now, too, of women from around the world that know different things about the industry, the XR industry. So we have this global database of expertise, which is great to see.
And if anyone wants to get involved and be a part of this fantastic initiative, what's the easiest way to reach out?
I think just show up at one of our events. Tomorrow night, we're having a beach party. I'm not sure if anybody can come, but it's 6 p.m. tomorrow night in the iLearn campus. But regardless, we're there every Wednesday. We wanted to make sure that we were in one place every week at the same time, so that we could be there for the world. And we've managed to do that now. I think we're four months straight that we're there every week. So just show up on a Wednesday between 11:30 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. and join our programming. And you're just part of the community. You'll get to meet some fantastic women that are doing amazing things.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you so much. Really, sorry, we are short of time. We have to jump onto the next call. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure to hear from you. And I wish you the very best with the platform and also with the XR Women initiative. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day. Great rest of the day. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.